anybody can make it in the normal laboratory. I think in your one of the lab programs here, 432, I have forgotten, at the fourth year level. This synthesis we do in our lab program for the MSc students. Now, this is heavily symmetric molecules. One could expect that X, Y would be identical. And if you look at the bond parameters, though these are anionic and this is neutral, some slight difference is there, but the electron is rather symmetrically oriented over there. And the g-axis is nothing is there, or at the best you can have some weak interaction with the solvent if you use the polar solvent. For example, if you record the spectrum in acetonitrile, indeed, in this case, they have recorded the spectrum in acetonitrile. So all of you know C triple bond N, this N can bind to the metal. And, it is not the ligand over here. It is a solvent, that's the bulk item. So some weak interactions you can expect. Okay, that you cannot prove it through the through your crystallography. This crystallography you need a single crystal, right? And it's the solution. But except techniques, if you go for, then you can probably get some feelings that whether any interaction is there or not. So let us assume for the time being some weak interaction, if at all. So that means that you will have a tetragonally elongated situation. Now, tetragonally elongated situation means here nickel 1 means essentially D9 configuration, right? D8S2. So D9 configuration. So that means 6 electrons would be at the lower part and 3 electrons would be at the T2 EG level. Now the way it is been drawn, it could have been also otherwise, that G square would be higher energy compared to XY, but it depends on many factors how the interactions are. So here it is being considered dz square at the lower than the dx. It doesn't matter much, but you have the unpaired electron in the x square minus y square, right? Now in the ESR instrument, the way it is being designed, that basically magnetic field which is parallel to the z-axis, it is being considered. Now in a bulk, as I said, in the bulk you cannot think about this is x, this is y, this is z, this is average actually. But in the single crystal, one could think about it, that which axis you are dealing with. Okay, it can be fixed. Nevertheless, that since g-axis is considered as the parallel axis of the applied magnetic field, then it is expected to have minimum number of ions along that directions, where there will be repulsion, right? So as a matter of fact, what will happen, the concentration of ions along the g-axis or parallel axis, one axis has to be the parallel axis of the applied magnetic field, the parallel axis would be less. But if it is less, that means the maximum number of ions would be concentrated in the perpendicular region. Okay, so if this is one, so this region you will have the maximum number of ions. And as a result, ESR intensity at the perpendicular region would be maximum. And looking at this kind of spectrum, it suggests axial spectrum. With X and Y, they are almost identical, so they are together, and G is different. Okay, in a bulk, as I said, instead of XY, you can change the terminology. Yeah? Y, Z, X. So one would be parallel and rest would be perpendicular. That is the best way to deal with the bulk sample, either solid or solution. But let us consider, that G is the parallel axis. And if it is so, this pattern says here intensity is much lower than this one. That means this is the direction where the magnetic field parallel direction, and there it is expected to have a lower intensity compared to this one. This is clear, right? Now, another question is, this spectrum tells us very clearly that this is the Z out situation. Z out means your elongated situation. Because elongated situation, you could see it, the G square energy is low compared to x square minus y square. As a result, The axis which is parallel to the magnetic field, we have considered d square, and it appears as a lower magnetic field region. The magnetic field increases in these directions. So all are placing together. Na? You can put all these concepts and ideas together. Then you can interpret this spectral profile very nicely. Okay. And so it tells us this is the axial spectrum. It tells us this is the parallel axis. It tells us this energy would be lower as because of the factor of dj square lower over here, and dx square minus y square means the plane, okay, where you have the maximum concentration of the ions, and that intensity would be high. And now you see this called perpendicular, right? And this perpendicular line has now been splitted into, as I have written over here, 9 lines, which is very understandable because of this 9, 4 equivalent. If they are not equivalent, one could argue otherwise. 4 equivalent, but then you will have the multiplication of 2 ni plus 1, then 2 mi plus 1, 2 z plus 1, something like that, right? But here you have to consider only into 4 into 1 plus 1. Of course, 2 is there in the beginning. So 9 line. Now one could argue that in a symmetric molecule like this in the g-axis, there is not much splitting over here. Okay, it is nothing there, which is rather expected because the g-axis, if you consider this way, then the impact of this nitrogen in the g-axis would be very, very feeble. Now one cannot rule out that slight interaction is there or not. Slight interaction, of course, is there in the g-axis, as because of the fact this looks like slightly broader than this kind of spectrum. If you look at this broad feature of this particular parallel line, which tells us that the involvement of your super hyperplane splitting is there actually, but that cannot be resolved because of the weakness of that interactions. Okay, so now once you have a situation of multiple lines over here, then you can calculate the 9 lines mean 8a. So this gap is 1a, then this gap is 1a, this gap is another a, this gap is another a, all these things, and then you can see that whether all a's are identical or not. Mostly they are identical, okay, or very close to each other. Then you have to represent that this is the center point 1g, that is, it is being calculated here 2.22, and here you have to consider the g at the center point. This is the central line, and the mid of the central line. Actually, one should draw a tangent over here, and where it cuts the central line, that is the point to be considered the G. But normally we don't go by that way because this is, from that angle, it is not the ideal spectrum. So what we do, the most intense central line at the midpoint, one consider for the G perpendicular. Because if you consider here and if you consider here, your G would be slightly varying at this point. Okay, so that is how it is. Now, again, this is a very simple spectrum, as we already said, just to give you an impression that what is the difference between, again, room temperature and your